Ocean on the Rocks. Coming back to you guys with another one. Recognizing the Game. Episode 43. Black Flag. Y'all through Savage. You know what it is. What I want to talk about in this series of videos is semen retention and authentic self. And this will be part 1 of this segment of videos. 1 of 10. My channel is not going to be solely based on semen retention. This is just a series of videos that I'm going to be doing for a bit. And then we're going to start touching on other topics. But when it comes to the authentic self and semen retention is not a suppression of yourself. It's a coming to realization. It's a growth and evolution back into your true self and your potential, and to become a constant flow of your potential. So around the time of this video, I had a homie come through and we had a good conversation about relationships and spirituality, organization and developing businesses, right? One of the biggest things we were discussing was relationships and some of the problems that we as men face, because I want to help us to become better men due to the fact that I didn't have any examples coming up. But this is not to negate the male figures that I had in my life and the things that they accomplished. What led me to a higher state of consciousness and staying in tune with myself, at the same time, me always being in tune with myself and always being pulled towards reading and understanding history, and me in a spiritual way being guided by my ancestors. So when it comes to relationships and everything with us as men, especially in our early 20s, we're still growing and going through our hormones and whatnot. We're still coming to terms with our sexual energy. We don't have any positive adoration when it comes to that. We don't have anyone teaching us what we need to know. So what happens is we end up making decisions carelessly and recklessly when it comes to our sexual energy. It also affects the type of women we choose to be with. Within situations taking place in the last few years or so with my brother and a homie of his, they had been going through relationship situations. But with my brother's situation, he was with a girl for about a year or more. It was actually a year or more. And he's one of those type of people who's going to show you, unlike most men, he's going to show you how he feels about you through material means. And that's his love language. Everyone has a love language in a different way in which they go about expressing themselves. And that is unique to them based on who they are as an individual. And it can become problematic when you spend too much time or focus on the material aspect of your relationship, buying her gifts and taking her on trips. All of those things are an integral part of a relationship experience and any experience. But it gets to a point in time where there's another way in which you have to go about looking at your relationship. Relationships go through cycles and everything. They have their ebb and flow and their periods of growth and stillness. And you can become complacent during those times. And one of those things that comes about when becoming complacent is not having maintained a relationship with yourself independent of your partner. Engaging in those things that keep you grounded and aware of who you are and establishing those boundaries. And it gets to a point where arguments and things will come about, disputes and inability to see from another person's point of view. And there becomes a rift in the relationship. So this girl broke up with him. And she done some things that I really disagree with. And having my own experiences and recognizing what that means to me based on principles. As soon as I would have seen her do that, I would have cut her off. I would have immediately cut her off. Because she did something that is generalized as only a man would do. Oh, only men pursue women for sex or manipulate women sexually. But nobody wants to address the fact that women do that shit too. And it's not always at the fault of the man. It's based on, and it could have been based on their particular past. But it's always a reflection of oneself, period. So when they're going through certain situations, the power dynamic shifted and it got to a point where he was doing things to try to get her to feel a certain way about him, to see how he felt. But I was like, bruh, think about all the stuff that you did for her in a relationship. You showed that you care. There's nothing else for you to prove. And I said that you can't make her see something that she doesn't want to see. She broke up with you. How you feel about her doesn't matter because you've already shown through your choices and actions that she has power over you. She knows what your intentions are because you've been putting out a certain energy. She's going to view you in a negative light. You until you step away and reassess yourself, reassess the situation, and look at what the universe is trying to show you, you are not going to get what you want, and you're going to continue to create what you don't want while thinking that what you're doing is going to get you what you want when it's not. And so with him hitting her up and checking on her and stuff like that, and putting her on a pedestal, when you are going out of your way to try and prove your value to someone, you're going to end up losing yourself, because you're going to be spending so much time being consumed by them in your mind. Well, if I do this, they're going to feel about me this way. And as you continue to engage in that habit, you're moving further and further away from yourself. To be your authentic self is to be who you are from within. And that's not based on external factors. It's just being in alignment with who you are as a soul emanating the spirit. This channel is not about religion, because these concepts of spirit come before religion. They don't come from religion. So as you're doing that, you're going to end up losing yourself, losing your balance. You'll find yourself in a very dark place, and you will lose your authenticity, because now you have been engaging in ways of being that have taken you away from yourself. You shouldn't ever, and I've stated this before, you shouldn't ever make a person your center, the center of who you are. That in itself is disingenuous. It's false. It's a facade. It's an illusion. And that's what happens when we get in these relationships with individuals and we lose our balance and we become consumed by it. Authenticity requires you to have self-knowledge. And if I'm going to speak on anything on this channel, it's going to be mature. It's not going to be immature. I'm not putting out immature knowledge. It's much more than your glow. It's much more than being caught up in what is deemed a conspiracy theory. You need to have knowledge that is grounded. You need to have knowledge which is grounded. You need to be studying much more than videos that you see on YouTube. You need to be doing research, and you also need to be experiencing life. You need to be going back further than that, because some of us are further along on our path than others. Certain things don't faze me anymore. Certain things I've moved past, and I see that they really don't serve any purpose now. You really have to go thoroughly in order to understand history at its roots. So when you're practicing semen retention, like I said before, you're going back into yourself. You're coming back into your original state as to who you are. And so the homie that I was having a discussion with, and I'm going to talk about this in the next videos to come, when we're talking about focusing on yourself and redirecting that energy and stepping away from women, don't let society pressure you into getting married and having kids and being in a relationship. You have more time than you realize when you can ground yourself and put your attention towards the appropriate things. So this is what I wanted to discuss in this particular video. When it comes to being your authentic self and getting back to who you are, we're talking about healing yourself. We're talking about healing yourself and doing what you need to do so that you can understand what authenticity is and being who you really are. And this is what I mean by recognizing the game. Love. Salud.